Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Good. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Here we go. Month, prose, sign, thing. Morning, protest, silk, thought. Mother, pole, silver, thunder. Motion, punishment, sister, time. Mountain, purpose, size, 10. Move, push, sky, top. Music, quality, sleep, touch. Name, question, slip, trade. Nation, rain, slope, transport. Need, range, smash, trick. News, rate, smell, trouble. Night, ray, smile, turn. Noise, reaction, smoke, twist. Note, reading, sneeze, unit. Number, reason, snow, use. Observation, record, soap, value. Offer, regret, society, verse. Oil, relation, sun, vessel. Operation, religion, song, view. Opinion, representative, sort, voice. Order, request, sound, walk. Organization, respect, soup, war. Ornament, rest, space, wash. Owner, regard, stage, waste. Page, rhythm, start, water. Pain, rice, statement, wave. Paint, river, steam, wax. Part, roll, step, weather. Paste, room, stitch, week. Payment, rub, stone, weight. Piece, rule, stop, wind. Person, run, story, wine. Place, salt, stretch, winter. Plant, sand, structure, woman. Play, scale, substance, wood. Pleasure, science, sugar, wool. Point C, suggestion, word. All right, let's do some common phrases. Here we go. Can have been, can he be, can he believe, can he feel, can he have, can he recollect, can he recall, can he remember, can he understand, can I be, can I feel, can I have, can I recall, can I recollect, can I remember, can I want, can recall, can recollect, can remember, can understand, can want, can you believe, can you feel, can you recollect, can you remember? Can you understand? Can you want? How can? If he can, if I can, it can, she can, so I can, so you can, that he can, that I can, that you can, there can, they can, this can, we can, what he can, what I can, what you can, when he can, when I can, when you can. All right, let's do some Tingle Tamers. Here we go. Systematic dehydration, psychological abuse, participation encouraged, intelligent adventurer, damaging testimony, law enforcement officer, termite inspection, insurance commissioner, biographical promotion, granted immunity, redistricting policies, surfside condominiums, painstakingly stroke, cigarette inhalation, birthday celebration, popular establishment, dream realization, professional basketball, health coverage, degrees Fahrenheit, merciless massacre, exhausted refugees, transition of power, cryonic suspension, strategic installations, commuter special, mathematician succumbs, requirement challenged, accounting controller, nuclear circuit breakers, medfly reproduction, crooned comfortably, allegedly committed, studio environment. All right. I've got pharmacy colleges and schools. Here we go. Chicago State University College of Pharmacy, California North State University College of Pharmacy, Husson University School of Pharmacy, Albany College of Pharmacy, Albany, New York, Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, East Tennessee State University, Bill Gatton College of Pharmacy, Howard University College of Pharmacy, Appalachian College of Pharmacy, Harding University College of Pharmacy, Hampton University College of Pharmacy, Florida A&M University College of Pharmacy, Ferris State University College of Pharmacy, Fairleigh Dickinson University School of Pharmacy, Western College of Pharmacy, Davis University Milan School of Pharmacy, Drake University College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Creighton University School of Pharmacy and Health Professions, Concordia University Wisconsin School of Pharmacy, Chicago State Pharmacy, Campbell University College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Cedarville University School of Pharmacy, California Health Sciences University College of Pharmacy, Butler University College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Belmont University College of Pharmacy, Auburn University Harrison School of Pharmacy, and we'll go ahead and stop there. There's more on the next page, but we'll finish that later. All right. Now I'm going to read off to you some different briefs, and then I'll read you the sentences. You're going to hear inspection, is that correct, is that right, interest, into, investigator, it's, possessive it's, contraction it's, judgment, juror, jury, lawyer, legal, loft, maximum, member, Mr. and Mrs., neglect, negligence, negligently, neighbor, neighborhood, no ma'am, no sir, notice, oh, okay, opinionated, photograph, physical, physician, plaintiff, prepare, presence, previous, principal, probable, quarter, results. All right. And here are your sentences. If there's any questions about any of the briefs, just let me know. Okay, here we go. The police had an inspection. You are Joe, is that correct? He was tall, is that right? Pay me back with interest.
Ashley.
I keep hearing, let's see, I thought I had it on mute. Huh, okay. Okay. I for some reason I thought I had everybody on mute, but I kept hearing a noise. So, all right, sorry about that. All right, pay me back with interest. I am into jazz music. He was a private investigator. Please don't involve yourself. I think its leg is broken. It's my party. I'll cry if I want to. The judgment was for the defendant. I am juror number 5. Face the jury. Who wants to be a lawyer? Joan entered the legal office. I want to live in a loft. This is the maximum amount you can have. She is a member of a cult. Here comes Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Do not neglect your pets. She went to jail for negligence. He is so negligent when he drives. He drove negligently and crashed. Fred is my neighbor. This is a great neighborhood. No, ma'am, I won't bite. No, sir, I didn't like him. Until further notice, the class is over. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I can do this. You are so opinionated. Look at the photograph, please. Physical science is dull. My mom's physician is Dr. Wu. He is the plaintiff in this case. Here is how to prepare the steak. His presence is known. Joe was the previous tenant. It is just the principle of the matter. We needed probable cause. It was the 3rd quarter. The result was death. All right. Now I'm going to give you locations with their zip codes. Here we go. Cheyenne, Wyoming, 82001. Little Rock, Arkansas, 72254. Montgomery, Alabama, 36134. Phoenix, Arizona, 85018. Sacramento, California, 95877. I'm sorry, let me say that again. 95877. Dover, Delaware, 19901. Hartford, Connecticut, 06132. Denver, Colorado, 80213. Juneau, Alaska, 99801. Tallahassee, Florida, 32301. Atlanta, Georgia, 30358. Honolulu, Hawaii, 96810. Indianapolis, Indiana, 46249. Des Moines, Iowa, 50336. Topeka, Kansas, 66621. Annapolis, Maryland, 21421. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70858. Frankfort, Kentucky, 40601. St. Paul, Minnesota, 55132. Lansing, Michigan, 48931. Boston, Massachusetts, 02154. Lansing, Michigan, 48931. Jackson, Mississippi, 39223. Jefferson City, Missouri, 65101. Helena, Montana, 59601. Trenton, New Jersey, 08651. Carson City, Nevada, 88701. Lincoln, Nebraska, 68502. Concord, New Hampshire, 03301. Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87501. Albany, New York, 12202. Bismarck, North Dakota, 58501. Columbus, Ohio, 43223. Raleigh, North Carolina, 27630. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73141. Salem, Oregon, 93741. Pierre, South Dakota, 57501. Columbia, South Carolina, 29233. Salt Lake City, Utah, 84103. Austin, Texas, 78722. Richmond, Virginia, 23297. Charleston, West Virginia, 25341. Olympia, Washington, 98501. And Madison, Wisconsin, 53703. I just noticed that for some reason Tennessee isn't on here. I don't think it's on here unless no. How odd is that? Huh. There's a couple of them not on here. Oh no, I said Hawaii. Huh. That's odd. I just realized that. Okay, now let's move on to legal phrases. Here we go. In our ordinary language, throughout your deliberations, exclusive judges of the facts take into consideration ascertaining the preponderance contributed to the cause, provisions of the charge, special legal significance, evidence applicable thereto, in and of itself, sole and proximate cause, as brief as possible, presumption of guilt, not meant to indicate, corroborating evidence, influence of an intoxicant, presumption of innocence, statements of witnesses, full, impartial, and fair evidence, credibility of the witnesses, recover upon the contention, recall this charge, degree of proof, interest, bias, or prejudice, ordinarily prudent person, absolutely no presumption in the event that no affirmative defense. All right, there's more, but we're going to stop there. We'll finish the rest on Friday morning. All right. We're going to do just a few email addresses. Just if for those who don't know these internet briefs, let me give you them. www.iswaut, W-A-U-T.com is D-A-U-M, .net, D-W-E-T, .gov, D-W-O-F, .org, D-W-O-R-G, at is A-T with the flag, / is F-A-S-H, and then if they have dot in the middle of the email address, it's just D-O-T with the flag. Okay, here are your email addresses. Here we go. www.uol.com.br, www.tmz.com, www.usmagazine.com, www.wonderwall.com, www.gawker.com, www.doubleclick.net, www.eonline.com, www.googlead.services.com, www.accuweather.com, www.google/weblight.com, www.answers.yahoo.com. So I forgot to give you /. If they say /, it's just B-A-S-H with the flag. Bash. I think most of the time you see the / more than the /. All right. Now I'm going to give you some sentences. They're statements and questions. They're common they're common briefs and phrases. Okay, so you're going to hear cross-examination, K-R-O-X, direct examination, D-R-E-X, in addition, N-A-D, contract, K-R-A, instruct, S-T-R-U-K-T, instructions, police report, strike that, S-T-R-A-T, in this case, in that case, in the case. So in this case is Nick, in that case is knack, in the case is neck. And then I just flag the actual words. I flag neck, I flag knack, and Nick. Neck comes up more, more than the other two, but those phrases come up all the time. So that's what I choose to do. And then you're going to hear occupation. And I know I just read this in the mid-speeds class, but it's such a good drill that I thought I would read it to the high speeds as well. All right, here we go. Ready? Mr. Jones, do you have any cross-examination? The cross-examination lasted several days. Please listen carefully, ladies and gentlemen, to the cross-examination. Direct examination was conducted by Mr. Whitman. Her direct examination was very intense. There were many objections during the direct examination of the witness. In addition to the gun, they found several rounds of ammunition at the location. They brought their dog on the vacation in addition to their children. In addition to being late to the restaurant, he forgot his wallet. The contract was signed by all parties present. We entered into a contract when we decided to lease the car. This contract was terminated on January 3rd, 2015. Please instruct your students to remain in their seats. I would like to instruct the members of the jury. They were instructed as to how to act during the meeting. Her instructions were quite clear. I gave you an instruction last night. Can you remember what it was? One instruction given to the jury is to listen carefully to all of the evidence. Please look over the police report for any errors. The police report was written immediately after the accident. You must provide a police report to help collect your insurance. I may have had, strike that. Please strike that last answer and I will begin again. The suspect was going south, north, strike that. The subject in this case is a tall, thin man. There are many exhibits in this case. In this case, you will find several conflicting reports. Well, what was the time recorded in that case? Please give me the suspect's name in that case. In that case, I want to know who you were with last Tuesday. In the case of the missing diamond, you must have expertise in fine jewels. What is the time of the accident in the case you are discussing now? I must know what witnesses you will provide in the case pending. What is your present occupation? His occupation seems to change each year. Can you please give your name and occupation for the record? All right. Our last drill is going to be a similar word practice. All these words are pretty similar. So you're going to hear where, which, whom, when, what, while, why, whose, whether, who. All right, here we go. While you are here, tell me when you will need it. Put it where he said, whether you want to or not. Which person is shy is why I want to know. Where did the message come from? Whom did you mean when you said him? When they tell you which one it is, let me know. What did you see and where did you go? Why did you say that is what I wish to know? Where was the person whose name was called? Whose coat is this so we'll know who will pick it up? Who will bring the food and where will you put it? They brought whom to the party when they came? It is there whereof I speak. She is the one who is whimsical. He cracked his whip when he saw the crook. Where was he when he whirled around? The white fence went around the wide yard. Which way did she go and with whom? Whether or not they come is what I want to know. Where were you when I called? He got married on a whim. I was whisked away when they arrested me. We drank whiskey, we drank whiskey which we bought wholesale. With whom do you live and where do you live? The elves whistled while they worked. I don't know whether they were home. She was a whiz kid when she was in school. The whooping crane whisked through the air with a whooping whoop. That is where it was when I saw it. The government owes a whopping big bill. Where were the cards? Who was it with whom you danced with? Which way was the white whooping crane flying? Where was the person whose name was called? When did the whimsical woman whistle? Whether they were where they said they were is questionable. Why is the whiskey marked wholesale? You were where when it happened? Wherefore art thou? The whining child had whooping cough. Why did he say what he did when you were there? Whether we come or not is subject to our whims. Which way did they go while they were here? This is the why, where, what, and which of that. Where is the person with whom you're living? Why are you whirling around when you shouldn't be? Where did the message come from and when? Who, why, and where are the questions to ask? I don't know who that is, nor with whom he is staying. That is the whistling tea kettle which I heard while I was there. I don't know whether or not we were there when she was. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with literary. I have a poem first that I'm going to read to you. All right, here we go. It's pretty short. It's called Where the Sidewalk Ends. Here we go. There is a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins, and there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright, and there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends. Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow, we shall walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows grow to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk white arrows go, for the children they mark and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. All right. I'll give you some opening statements. And all these opening statements that I've been reading recently, they're from the same case, but I've been changing the names so that you hear different names, but they're definitely different parts of the opening statement. You're not hearing the same thing over and over, okay? All right, let me just state this so I know we covered it. All right, here we go. The theory, though, is that witnesses, when you are trying to get details from the witnesses, the evidence will show that you start with a free narrative. It's just a narrative. Tell me everything you know about what happened in the case, and then it becomes more and more detailed and directed. You can ask direct questions or more focused questions, or even in the rare case, you can ask leading questions to try to draw out of witnesses what they know about the case. That makes total sense. It makes total sense that you want them to tell you everything, but you are going to have to follow up with certain questions. You are also going to hear, though, that there is a difference between interviews and actual interrogations. Now, interrogations are designed for the suspects. They are not designed for the witnesses. You are going to hear about this in this case. In fact, you are going to hear a lot in this case about interrogations, about the whole process, and about the actual process of asking important questions and the process of obtaining truthful information from the suspects. You are going to hear that confessing to a crime, and in fact, the most serious crimes of all, is murder. But confessing to any crime is an unnatural act. It goes against a human's feeling of self-preservation, okay? That should make sense to everybody. And the evidence is going to show that. It is going to show that it is difficult to have somebody admit to a very, very serious crime. And so there are techniques that are developed to encourage suspects to talk again. These are interrogations. These aren't interviews. This is done to encourage suspects to provide truthful information. You are going to hear about those techniques, that those techniques include some kind of an accusation that the person is not telling the truth. And in every confession, every admission that Mr. Wyman and perhaps other witnesses will tell you about, they always start with a denial. I wasn't involved in the case. You will then hear how confessions or admissions move from denials to admissions. It is called shifting from denials to admissions. You are going to hear about the stages where an individual will be in a very passive mode, will allow the investigator to do most of the talking. In fact, you will hear about the body, you will hear about body language and looking down and really kind of allowing the investigator to give their version about what happened. And they will see a point, or they will describe a point. That is, the investigators will describe a point in every interrogation where this happens. But in Mr. Damsey's case, you will see a point where that first admission occurs. You will see the person accept some of the responsibility for the being involved in this case, all right? Then the rest of the interrogation is drawing out as many details as you possibly can. Now, I told you that moving from denials to admissions are unnatural. It is a difficult kind of thing to do, and there are two techniques in this case, and you will see the evidence in this case that you will hear a lot about. The first technique is something called expressing superior knowledge. Investigators oftentimes, and if you think about it, they have to. They oftentimes express that they know more than they do. They pretend that they have more information than they really have. You are going to hear the evidence. You are going to hear the testimony when officers say things like, "It's all right, we already know what happened," or words to that effect. In this case, you are going to hear that over and over and over again. "It's all right, we already know what happened." You need to understand that the officers will explain that. That is a technique that they use. It is a technique to encourage that unnatural act, or to encourage the act of going from a denial to an admission. You will also hear the testimony about how guilty people, that is, people who really do commit crimes, how they hear that very phrase, "It is all right, we already know what happened," and how they hear that differently than somebody who is innocent or from somebody who may not have committed a crime, all right? So you can kind of figure it out for yourselves. I mean, as jurors, you will be able to figure this out. and the evidence will help you with that. But guilty people, when they hear, we already know what happened, will tend to make admissions. Innocent people who weren't involved at all will hear, we already know what happened, will think, good, then you are going to know that I wasn't involved. And so how it plays on, and you will need to kind of understand that difference in the dynamic, at least concept, that the concept that you will hear about, and I want to talk about this in the opening statements, is giving a suspect a reason to admit. We talked about that before. It is a suggestion that they will feel better or that they will have some moral acceptance, all right? It is some real or perceived feelings about themselves if they get used to this or get this off of their chest. So whether you will sleep better or you will feel better or you will get it off of your chest or words to that effect, when you hear that in this case, no, and you will hear the evidence about it, that this is a technique or an interrogation technique, and you will hear a lot about this. Well, there are safeguards too that you are going to hear about. We don't base your case on admissions or confessions of people, but you have to try to verify what it is that somebody says. And this screen explains some of those things that the testimony will show in this case. Can that person's statement be verified or what's called corroborated through the physical evidence or other known facts? Right. So I got up to 225 with that. Okay. You can see Olivia's here. Hello, Olivia. It's great to have you here with us. All right. So that was opening statements. It was a lot like jury charge. So I'm going to give you some congressional record. This is on windfall profit tax. I'm going to start at 200 and I'll work my way to 225. Okay. All right. Here you go. Mr. Speaker, today I want to introduce legislation that will lift an unfair and unequitable tax from the shoulders of Americans, 3 million crude oil royalty owners. Now, my bill will exempt royalty owners and independent oil producers from the windfall profit tax on the first 1,500 barrels of daily production. The exemption will go into effect immediately. What is the windfall tax profit? I want to make this point clear to Congress. The windfall profit tax is not a tax on the excess profits of the large oil producing companies. The windfall profit tax is an excise tax on crude oil production. The production of domestic crude oil should be encouraged, with the countries in the Middle East in a constant state of chaos and turmoil, with our neighbors to the south in various stages of revolution, and with the Russian states planning to become major importers of energy. We must become self-reliant. The independent oil producers play a very important role in the nation's energy picture. They drill 85% of the wildcat wells, and they account for 65% of the new oil and gas fields. The windfall profit tax will not only affect the large oil producing companies, but will also place an unreasonable burden on our more than 3 million royalty owners. To give you an example, consider this. A royalty owner receives $10.75 on a barrel of oil selling for $80. With the imposition of the windfall profit tax, the royalty owners will pay $4.42 tax on this income. This tax would place an unnecessary regulatory burden on the oil industry. In addition, the cost of complying are enormous. Mr. Speaker, the people are tired of overtaxation, overregulation, and excessive control of the private sector. Let Congress act now to answer the will of the people and eliminate this unnecessary tax. All right. How are we doing on time? Good. All right, so we're going to start some Q&A. And looks like defense. I'm going to have defense start. I'm going to start at 180 and let's see. I will move my way to 225, okay? All right, here we go. Now, Mr. Tyrell, you have stated that when you first saw Diana, she appeared to be a normal, level-headed young lady. That's correct. Did you ever see Diana when she was under the influence of some kind of drug? No, I did not. Did you ever see Diana when she appeared to be drunk or under the influence of alcohol? No. Did you ever hear that Diana had some kind of a drug problem? I had heard some rumors that she could have been a user. I probably heard it from my sister, Karen. We sometimes discuss family problems, and it may have come up. We knew that something was wrong. We didn't know what indicators to look for, but we knew something was amiss. You keep referring to your sister, Karen. Is that Diana's mother? Yes, that is correct. That is your sister or half sister? My half sister. What is Diana's mother? That is Diana's mother? Yes, it is. Okay, thank you. Continue, counsel. Were you ever told that Diana was heavily into all kinds of drugs? No, never. That Diana had experimented with marijuana and cocaine? No, never. That Diana had tried PCP and other types of drugs? No. That Diana used LSD and no, nothing. Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time. Redirect, Mrs. Delaney. Thank you, Your Honor. In conversations with Mrs. Bishop and the school psychologist, did she ever tell you that she suspected Diana was into crack? Was she ever aware of anything? Your Honor, I will object to the last part of the question. The last part of the question is objectionable. All right, did she ever tell you that Diana was into drugs? Not really. She insinuated that Diana's grades were slipping because of her involvement with a bad crowd at school. We both knew something was wrong. Nothing definite ever came out, though. This was a difficult situation regarding a drug problem, a serious drug problem. Well, did you ask Karen if Diana was ever involved in drugs or alcohol to any extent? Do you know what I mean? No, I didn't go into her personal history. We hadn't seen each other in 10 years, and I wanted to keep a good relationship with her. We both knew there was something wrong with Diana, but we really couldn't communicate openly without embarrassment. And you weren't able to talk about it? Did it appear that Karen's husband, Brad Stewart, knew anything about the drugs at that time? He didn't say anything. Karen and Brad were having their problems too. All right. Now, in talking to Karen, did she mention anything in the nature of alcohol or narcotics as far as Diana was concerned? When Diana had the automobile accidents, there were many problems that arose out of the car accidents because of the frequency of them. No one would insure Diana. She lost her driver's license, and Karen and Brad refused to let her drive their car. Did you ask Karen and Brad to take Diana to a drug rehabilitation program in New York City? Well, I said, why not consider putting Diana in a drug rehabilitation program? Her problems are affecting the whole family. But Brad and Karen hadn't accepted the fact that she really had many problems. Did you talk to Diana personally or just to Brad and Karen? No, it was their child, and I felt that since it was their child, it was their problem situation to cope with. How long have you known your half-sister Karen? I have known her since she moved up here. I think she called me about a week after she moved to Albany, and that's when I met her. I hadn't seen her in 10 years. But we never really knew each other other than we knew each other as kids anyway. But okay, when you met with her, I take it you also met Diana? That's correct. And how long have you known Diana? Oh, I don't know, 2 years, since April of 2012. And have you had occasion to see Diana once in a while? Oh, yes, we go over to Brad and Sharon's house a lot. We have dinner. We go on picnics. Diana and her brother Ted helped me move into my new apartment. How did Diana strike you the first time you saw her? She was shy at first, but very cooperative. She was always friendly to me. She always spoke to me and seemed like she needed a friend. I guess she and her father fought a lot. You said Diana helped you move? Yes, she did. Was this over the objections of Diana's father, your brother-in-law? I don't really know. Your Honor, I have no further questions. All right, let's switch transcripts. I'm just gonna date this real quick. All right. So I'm going to start this one. I'm going to start this one at 225, okay? Because we got up to 200 in the last one. We were getting close to 225, but not quite. So I'll start this at 225, okay? Looks like plaintiff is questioning. This is the Doughboy swimming pool diving accident. Okay, here we go. But I take it somewhere back in your office, Jackie Leo would have a document or a series of documents or some sort that would assist you in answering my questions as to what the background, the foundation of different litigation against Doughboy would be going back for the last 10 or 15 years. Yes. Do you have any idea today from memory? Do you have any idea how many times in your recollection and memory Doughboy has been sued by people who have broken their necks with spinal cord injuries or broken their necks without spinal cord injuries? Do you know how many cases have been filed against Doughboy? No, I do not. Do you have an idea whether it is more than 20, less than 20? I don't have a specific recollection. Does Jackie or anyone else in your department take this information from these litigation files and try to find out why all these people, whatever the number is, dove into those Doughboy pools? Do you understand the question? Would you please rephrase the question? Well, has anybody at Doughboy, I am assuming somebody in your department. If not, if you know anybody else outside of your department that has done it, that would be fine. Has anybody done reviews of different files and tried to track down information to find out exactly why it is some or all of these people dove into Doughboy pools and broke their necks and find out why they did it? No. Has that thought ever occurred to you that there might be something to be learned from finding out why all of these people dove into Doughboy pools and broke their necks? Well, what has come out in most of these cases is that the typical profile involves normally a young male macho type showing off for his lady acquaintances in the vicinity. Usually, though, not all the time, there is alcohol or drugs involved or some other display of manhood. It is the typical profile of the people who decide to take a flying leap. A flying leap meaning a dive into a pool. Okay, they also do the same thing in the ocean and lakes and rivers. Well, you do it in the ocean, right? Not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, I don't. But I mean, you do the basic maneuver of going into a body, surfing and diving like we talked about. Sure. Well, for example, has anybody attempted to find out how many of these people that are injured by diving into the Doughboy pools felt that they could dive safely just like you do? We have made no inquiry into the abilities or training as it relates to diving. And this typical profile that you have given me, is this compiled from these litigation files that Jackie Leo has? Yes, and others. And what is the and others? Would you identify who those are? I don't have a specific identification. Well, are they documents that exist in Doughboy's possession? No. Well, part of my cross-examining is trying to find out what your foundation and beliefs are. Okay, it comes from our files among the other files of the other companies. Where do you get the other files from other companies? I don't get them. Who does? Some of the people that we do business with. Oh, okay, well, is this a deal where you like chit chat with them on the phone and talk about it? Or are these actual documents that you look at and someone evaluates them and arrives at this typical profile? Someone else evaluates them. Who else evaluates them? Risk managers employed by Doughboy or employed at the insurance company or somewhere else. We have an outside consultant who is a risk manager. Who would that be? R.W. Warren Company. How long have they been an outside consultant of a risk manager for Doughboy? I am not sure as to the specific length of time. Would it be more than 10 years, less than 10 years? Less than 10. Where is Warren located? New York. And is this like their business performing risk management chores? Yes, it is. Are you familiar with an outfit in New York by the name of Cook and Miller? I have heard of the name. And where have you heard of that name? I believe that R. Warren is affiliated with Cook and Miller. How are they affiliated? I don't know. Has Doughboy ever sent money to Cook and Miller for services performed? I don't know. Has Doughboy sent money to R. Warren Company for services performed? No. Did this R. Warren or Cook Miller, did they prepare a written document? It is Cook and Miller. I'm sorry, of some sort of outlining that this typical profile you have given me, something that I could look at or you could look at and read. I seem to recollect some correspondence with the outline. That profile was outlined. A specific letter, I don't remember. Have you ever been to this R. Warren or Cook and Miller outfit in New York? No. Is there anybody at Doughboy that you know of that has been there in person? No. Okay, what about Marty Hoffinger? He lives in New York part of the year. Would he have been there? Do you know? He may have been. I don't know. Do these two companies provide any litigation support of any kind to Doughboy? Do you know what I mean by litigation support? No. These companies provide Doughboy or insurance companies or carriers or Doughboy lawyers information about the swimming pool litigation and the general research being done, anything being done by the NSPI, things being done by other organizations around the country. Do they or have they provided that for a fee to Doughboy and their attorneys and the insurance companies? I am not sure I understand the question. Let me give you a specific example. If I had an expert in this case, like Mr. Litwin, Litwin, and I want to get all of the depositions that he has given us from the other cases, could you call up this R. Warren Company or Cook and Miller and ask them to give you a copy of Mr. Litwin's depositions or deposition outlines from other cases? Yes. Who is your person to contact there to get that kind of information? Mr. Richard Cohen. Richard Cohen? Correct. He has been around for a while. Is he an attorney himself? Do you know? No. No, you don't know? Not to my knowledge, no. I think I have seen this name on a lot of the pool magazines. He has been around for a while. I am sorry. He has been around for a while. Okay, how long have these services been available to Doughboy through Warren or Cook and Miller? I answered that question a while ago. I am sorry, you said less than 10 years? Yes. Okay, I am sorry. I forgot. Now, were you ever aware of an outfit called APRI, which means Aquatic Products Research Institute? Was that the firm that had a booth at the Phoenix show? No, I had a booth at the Phoenix show. This is the Aquatic Injury Safety Group. That was me. I had the booth at the Phoenix show. APRI at one time was operating out of 21110 Eisenhower Drive, which was the same building that the NSPI is in. It is run by Tom Thies, who was the in-house counsel of NSPI at one time. Okay, the name of it was Aquatic Products Research Institute, known as APRI. It is, okay, it has been written up in the pool magazines. Yes, I have heard of the name. Have they or did they perform any work for Doughboy in the last 5 years, let's say? I don't recall that they have. Do you know whether or not they are still in existence today, the APRI? No. No, you don't know? Or no, I don't know. Okay, did you know Tom Thies? No. When he was with NSPI? Do you know if Mary Ellen is his wife? I haven't the foggiest idea. I see her name all of the time as well. I just wondered. Do you know what a computer simulation is? Well, you look puzzled. I am not sure I understand your question. I am not real familiar. My understanding of computer simulation is taking an accident, automobile accident, diving accident, or some other sort of accident, and sort of reconstructing it on a computer. That is what I call a computer simulation. Oh, yes, okay. Does this Warren Company and Cook and Miller Company perform that type of service? Do you know for Doughboy? No. No, you don't know, or no, they don't. I am not familiar with anything like that they may have performed for us. Okay, have you ever talked to Mr. Cohen or anybody else at Cook and Miller or Warren and Company to find out where they got all of their information from? No. Do you recall a letter that came out in 2014 or 2015? I think it was signed by Larry Pollich. Somebody, no, I think it was signed by Tom Thies for the NSPI, written to companies like Doughboy or other pool companies around the country, asking them to send in all of their depositions and litigation materials. Do you recall receiving any correspondence like that and responding to it? I didn't receive the correspondence. I recollect something coming into the company, though. Who would that go to? Well, I would have gone to the president. It would have gone to the president of the company, which is Dave Nelson. Dave Nelson, yes. Are you aware of any action taken by Doughboy in response to a letter like that? Not specifically, no. Again, I am just assuming that it is in your office, but you know, if it is not, just correct me. Does Doughboy keep a file of all of your past depositions from other cases where there was a case against Doughboy? It would be part of the litigation files that are maintained, yes. Well, I mean, ordinarily, when a deposition is taken, usually the attorneys get a copy counsel. Does Doughboy get a copy too and keep it on file in the litigation file? Yes. I am going to make a request at this time, and I will confirm it with your attorney later. I will be out here next month, and I'm going to ask that all of the litigation files be produced to me at that time on the Bean case. I am just telling you now, and I will tell your attorney in Oklahoma City the same the next time I talk to him. When you want to get information from this Warren Company and Cook and Miller, are you the person that would initiate whatever needs to be done to obtain the information, to get the information from them? Right, like if you want to get the depositions on the experts, for example, we would, perhaps I may contact them, yes. Are you basically taking over the function that Vern Reuter performed before he became ill? They are handled under my area of responsibility, yes. I would like to go back for a moment to this typical profile that you gave me. I heard this word so often and I am not sure I know what it means. What does macho mean in the typical profile you gave me? Counsel, again, you are asking our witnesses to act as dictionaries. I suggest that if you want to know the meaning of words, you go out and buy a dictionary or go look online. I just wanted to make sure that the meaning of the word in the dictionary is the same that the witness gives to it when he uses them, specifically in the context of a diving accident. Well, I will allow the witness to answer this one question, but if you are going to continue with the definition type questions, I am going to object. So go ahead and answer. I am just asking in this limited context that you have used it in, what does it mean? Well, say a show off, a loud, hey, look at me. Ain't I great? I am a big man. I am a big he man. That is basically it? Yes, sir. You can put all of those in quotes. Have you ever been macho? I object to that question and instruct the witness not to answer. Well, I can't imagine any 19-aged male not being macho in that definition, but I just don't understand why the word comes up all of the time. It sounds normal to me. Out of the cases that you have reviewed for this typical profile, do you know specifically how many of those cases involve the use of drugs, either non-prescription or prescription drugs? You mentioned alcohol and drugs, but you didn't break it down. I am asking if you can break it down. Is there 1, 2, 3, 10? I don't have a number. Do you know for sure that there is at least one Doughboy case involving a diving accident where drugs were used? I recollect that there was at least one case that involved some drugs. Would you tell me what part of the country it was in? I don't remember. That would be in your litigation file somewhere, right? Yes. On the alcohol, do you know an exact percentage? I mean, out of 100 cases, just for a hypothetical example, would it be 50% or 40% or 60%? Do you know approximately? I don't have a specific percentage. My opinion is it is more than half. Again, as far as the Doughboy cases in particular are concerned, we could get that precisely by looking at these litigation files, right? Yes. In this particular case, well, it is one of those, I believe, involving alcohol, yes. Right, but we will stipulate to that. In these cases that involve the alcohol, how many of them, if any, have the information as to the extent of the alcohol, specifically a blood alcohol or comparable test? I don't know how many. There are some where blood alcohol level was measured at the hospitals. Have you read the Rowler, R-O-W-L-E-R, and Egstrom, E-G-S-T-R-O-N report that was put out by the NSPI a year or two ago on alcohol? No. And your belief, and I think Doughboy's belief in that, in an above ground pool, you should not dive into the pool, period, right? That is my personal belief. That's right. Yes. Okay. I don't allow it in my own pool. And that is Doughboy's position, evidenced by the fact that they put no diving labels on the pools, correct? Right. Whether you have had one drink or no drinks, you shouldn't dive into the pool, right? Correct. And if you are absolutely drunk, 0.2, 0.3 alcohol, if you don't dive into the pool, you are not going to break your neck from diving, correct? If you don't dive, you wouldn't break your neck from diving. Okay. And if you don't go into the water, you wouldn't drown. That's not true. Well, I guess overall, kids drown even in a toilet. You could drown. People do drown in toilets and bathrooms every day. All right, so let's do a read back section. All right. And again, you don't have to read back if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. If you want to pass and just follow along in your notes, you're certainly more than welcome to do that. Just let me know. All right. Okay. I'm going to read this at 225, then 200, and then 180, okay? The first time, let's see here. It's going to be, oh, defense. Okay, here we go. And regarding this aspect of assisting disabled motorists, did you have some kind of booklet to guide you on how to perform these functions? No, I did not. And from where did you get your instructions on how to perform your duties in assisting disabled motorists? Most of it comes after you come out of the academy. You ride with another officer for 30 working days. On the date in question, had you just come out of the academy? No. Is there any reason why you were riding with this officer? Yes. What was the reason? On graveyard shift, you ride 2 men in a car. Is that policy? Yes, it is. What time does the graveyard shift start? At 10 p.m. Then am I correct in assuming that your education and training in the duty of assisting a disabled motorist came from whatever training you received in the academy? I don't understand. How did you know what to do as far as assisting the disabled motorist? This is given mostly through your training officer after you come out in the field and start working. When did you come out of the academy? July 24. Do you remember the officer that you rode with for the first 30 days after you got out of the academy? Yes. What was his name? Officer Jones. Now, am I correct in assuming that you got no training while you were in the academy on how to perform your duties in assisting the disabled motorists? A very short dissertation on it. What do you mean by that? We were to assist all disabled motorists. Okay, let's do it again at 200. Here we go. And regarding this aspect of assisting disabled motorists, did you have some kind of booklet to guide you in how to perform these functions? No, I did not. And from where did you get your instructions on how to perform your duties in assisting disabled motorists? Most of it comes after you come out of the academy. You ride with another officer for 30 working days. On the date in question, had you just come out of the academy? No. Is there any reason why you were riding with this officer? Yes. What was the reason? On graveyard shift, you ride 2 men in a car. Is that policy? Yes, it is. What time does the graveyard shift start? At 10 p.m. Then am I correct in assuming that your education and training in the duty of assisting a disabled motorist came from whatever training you received in the academy? I don't understand. How did you know what to do as far as assisting the disabled motorist? This is given mostly through your training officer after you come out in the field and start working. When did you come out of the academy? July 24. Do you remember the officer that you rode with for the first 30 days after you got out of the academy? Yes. What was his name? Officer Jones. Now, am I correct in assuming that you got no training while you were in the academy on how to perform your duties in assisting the disabled motorist? A very short dissertation on it. What do you mean by that? We were to assist all disabled motorists. Okay, last time at 180. And regarding this aspect of assisting disabled motorists, did you have some kind of booklet to guide you in how to perform these functions? No, I did not. And from where did you get your instructions on how to perform your duties in assisting disabled motorists? Most of it comes after you come out of the academy. You ride with another officer for 30 working days. On the day in question, had you just come out of the academy? No. Is there any reason why you were riding with this officer? Yes. What was the reason? On graveyard shift, you ride 2 men in a car. Is that policy? Yes, it is. What time does the graveyard shift start? At 10 p.m. Then am I correct in assuming that your education and training in the duty of assisting a disabled motorist came from whatever training you received in the academy? I don't understand. How did you know what to do as far as assisting the disabled motorists? This is given mostly through your training officer after you come out in the field and start working. When did you come out of the academy? July 24. Do you remember the officer that you rode with for the first 30 days after you got out of the academy? Yes. What was his name? Officer Jones. Now, am I correct in assuming that you got no training while you were in the academy on how to perform your duties in assisting the disabled motorists? A very short dissertation on it. What do you mean by that? We were to assist all disabled motorists. All right. So we'll read that back. And again, Olivia, just let me know if you would like to read a question and answer back. If not, you can pass. It's totally up to you, and still follow along if you want on with your notes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll go ahead and take the first Q&A, and then we'll go to Catherine, and then Olivia, you just let me know.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Question. And regarding this aspect of assisting disabled motorists, did you have some kind of booklet to guide you in how to perform these functions? Answer, no, I did not.
Question, and from where did you get your instructions on how to perform your duties in assisting disabled motorists? Answer, most of it comes after you come out of the academy. You ride with another officer for 30 working days.
Perfect.
Question. On the day in question, I think you just coming out of the academy?
Do you have had you just?
No, I don't.
That's okay. No worries.
Then I have the answer no.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome job. Question. Is there any reason why you were riding with this officer? Answer, yes. And I want to let you guys know, in the 225 take, the very first one, it seemed like I said something. I might have mixed up two words, and that could have been the question that you just read, Olivia. I'm not sure if you're reading the 225 take, but if you are, it could have been I was reading so fast I didn't have time to circle it, so that could be the case. So keep that in mind. You too, if you're reading the 225. So, okay. I think the 200 and the 180 take, I read it exactly like it says, though. So,
okay.
All right.
Question, what was the reason? Answer, on graveyard shift, you ride 2 men in a car.
Awesome.
Question, is that policy? Answer, yes, it is.
Perfect. Question, what time does the graveyard shift start? Answer, at 10 p.m.
Question, then am I correct in assuming that your education and training in the duties of assisting a disabled motorist came from whatever training you received in the academy? Answer, I don't understand.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm not sure what it starts off with, but something as far as assisting disabled motorists.
Okay, yep. So before that just says, how did you know what to do?
Okay, as far as assisting disabled motorists.
Yep.
Okay, and then I have, and the answer is something this training officer, after you come out in the field, start working.
Yep. So before training officer, this is given mostly through your, and then training officer. Everything you said after that was perfect.
Okay.
Good. Great job. Question, when did you come out of the academy? Answer, July 24.
Question, do you remember the officer that you rode with for the first 30 days after you got out of the academy? I didn't have so I don't know if you said it, but I just...
That's okay. Yeah.
of the academy? Answer, yes.
Question, what was his name? Answer, Officer Jones.
Perfect. Question now, am I correct in assuming that you got no training while you were in the academy on how to perform your duties in assisting the disabled motorists? Answer, a very short dissertation on it.
Question, what do you mean by that? Answer, we were to assist all disabled motorists.
Perfect. Awesome job, you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, awesome. That was not an easy one. I think,
No.
No.
yeah, no. Disabled motorists, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I read my 200 take because I botched up the 225 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of challenging to read. So I always know when it's challenging to read, it's got to be challenging to write,
Yeah.
you know? And then Academy, I don't know if you guys use the brief for Academy, AKD.
Oh, I was just going to ask you
I
that
did
because
that 3 strokes. I did 3 strokes for that word. Yeah.
Yeah, AKD.
What is it? AKD? I was writing Acme, but
Acme.
I'm like, nope, Acme. I know what it means.
Yep, that's right. That's great thinking, quick thinking.
That's a good one. AKD.
Yeah, I got that.
Yep, AKD. Well, I'm so glad that you're here with us, Olivia.
I am too. I am I don't know where you located. I'm in California. Are you guys in California? I'm not sure.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm here and I'm trying to pass. I passed the academics of the CSR. So I'm
Good
trying to
job.
pass. Yeah, so I'm trying to pass. It's been forever. I've been taking it and I just said, Lord, I need some more help because I go to school at night. And I decided, I said, I want to try, working on the RPR. And it was so funny how I found your site. I was on YouTube and all of a sudden, I don't know how it popped up. And I said, okay, I've been practicing it. I said, let me try it out. And I love it. I love it. It's so much what I need right now. And I really like it.
Oh, that is awesome, Olivia.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome. So you passed your academics from the CSR, right, and now you're just working on getting
Yes, yeah, I've been trying to pass this machine portion forever, and I just know I need more time on it and more work. And there's improvement. I can really say there is improvement. So I just got to keep working at it. And I know I wasn't getting enough in school because I go 2 nights a week, and it's just not enough. So I said,
where do you go to school at?
Try Community in Camino.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's all it is. It's just you just need to be on your machine more if you're only going 2 nights a week. So yeah, you'll get it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Catherine is working on her RPR as well. She's
okay.
Yeah, she has one leg down and yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to kind of start doing it because I passed the academics a long time ago, and I tried taking it a few times and I wasn't ready. So I like it now the way they have it where you can do it in legs. So I was going to concentrate and hopefully I can before the next CSR maybe try taking the jury charge, starting with that first. So see what happens. So maybe I'm hoping maybe June I'll be able to try that out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Catherine, how many times did you say you can take it in a quarter?
You can attempt each leg 3 times a quarter.
A quarter. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have to pay for it each time you do that too? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're a member of, I don't know what the non-member pricing is, but if you're a member of NCRA,
yeah,
it's $72.50.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm a member. Okay. Okay. Great. That's good to know. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So then you just have your jury charge.
Right.
At 200, literary at 180, and then your Q&A at 225. But it's only 2 voice. So
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I in a way I think it's better than the state test is 4 voice, even though it's at 200, but it's 4 voices at what is it? 12 minutes.
200. Yeah, the 12 minutes you don't type the first 2 minutes the lead in, so you're doing the the 10 minutes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Where the RPR is what, 5 minutes?
5 minutes, exactly. Yeah.
95% as opposed to 97.5.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so there's definitely pros and cons to both,
Both, exactly. Yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Olivia, I don't know if you have the schedule, but so we have a live class on Fridays from 9 to 10.
Uh-huh.
And then, we've got Wednesday evenings from 5 to 6. But if
Okay.
ever you can't make the live class, you can always, Robert's pretty good about putting it up right away.
Okay. Because I'm thinking I can even do it because class doesn't start at 6 on Wednesday, so I should be able to do the Wednesday. That'll be
Good.
good. May get in a little late, but I can still, get in there and get some practice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, feel free.
Yes.
Come in late. If you have to
Okay.
leave early, it's okay.
Okay.
That's the beauty
Okay.
of
Okay.
online.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
you're
to
welcome. And then
Good.
just so you know, we do have a mid-speed class on let's see, mid-speeds would be Tuesday night
know. Okay.
and Wednesday morning. Tuesday night the same time from, I don't know if you have school that night, but
No, I don't.
oh, okay, yeah, that's from 5 to 6, and that covers 120, 140, 160.
Okay.
Yeah, and then have you seen all the modulars?
Oh, just so much stuff. It's just like, oh my goodness, just information. I'm like, okay, I'm just still really taking my time going through because it's a lot of information. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have any questions, just email us and
Okay.
we'll get back to you. And you can look through all the modulars. There's so much recorded material.
Yeah, there is. There really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
well, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. And
Yes.
thank you for the information, Catherine.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, you guys have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Bye,
All
guys.
righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.